What's good, Wizards fans? The Washington Wizards are reportedly interested in trading for Chicago Bulls Patrick Williams. We're going to talk about that article from Sam Amico, and also they're reportedly interested in trading for Alex Caruso. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase locked on NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, it's your host, Red Oliver, and my guy, Brandon Scott. So this is an article that just came out today, really not that long ago, on social media. The article is from Sam Amico on Amico Hoops. The article is Bulls Rumors. One part of the article says, it's all about, of course, Zach LaVine. He's the guy that wants out. Reportedly, he's trying to go to the Lakers. And then DeMar DeRozan, he's on the trade block as well. Basically, everybody's on the table for the Bulls. The article, it says, for the Wizards, says, meanwhile, the Bulls reportedly continue to make guard Alex Caruso off limits. It is believed the Lakers have an interest in bringing him back. The Wizards are also believed to be interested in Alex Caruso and or Bulls big man Patrick Williams. What's your thoughts on the article, and which player do you think is more realistic to be acquired by the Washington Wizards?
Good question, man. I wouldn't be mad at either one. I'm a big fan of Caruso's game, his defense, his ability to stretch the floor. Patrick Williams, to me, is my favorite, and he's the guy I think is more realistic. The reason for that, look at his age, man. Look at he can defend, he can shoot from three. Now I know that his 3-point shot is lagging this year, but I think that has more to do with the dysfunction with the organization, with this being kind of a the Bulls are finally realizing they need to blow it up, and so I think that has a lot to do with it. Is a kind of an uneven kill as far as the season for the Bulls. But Patrick Williams is a guy I think is realistic. I think that's a guy that we need to go for. Now, fit and who we need to give up is obviously the issue. But I mean, look at his age, 22 years old, hasn't his prime yet. He can defend at a high level. He can definitely stretch the floor. Now, like I said, off year, yes, but he has a capability to shoot at least from average from three, man. So I'm a big fan of Patrick Williams. Now, if you look at, like I said, it's tough because you got to look at, obviously for West Sales Jr.'s system, you need more defensive guys. Patrick Williams can defend at a high level, like I said. If you put him in the same lineup with Jenny Avia and Bilal Coulibaly, that is a really nice defensive team, especially, with these guys don't require a lot of usage on the offensive end, because I kind of reckon that, Jordan Poole's going to be part, we don't know how long, but he definitely eventually is going to be at the point, in my opinion, especially after the deadline. I think they're going to eventually try him at point guard. But yeah, I mean, Caruso, yeah, but I see Caruso maybe going to a contending team. Now, I wouldn't mind him here. Like I said, we were talking about it before the show. We're both big fans of Caruso. I think he would definitely fit. But to me, I'm going for Patrick Williams because he fits the timeline. Now contract, he is in the final year of his contract, so he will be a restricted free agent, and we can match any deal. So looking at salaries, looking at fit, maybe you need to do a 3-team trade. And I know there's some people in Wizards land that thinks that we're going to somehow retain Kyle Kuzma long term. It ain't happening. If you have an opportunity to get maybe a first round pick or get some of the assets for Kyle Kuzma, flip him in a 3-team trade and get Patrick Williams and maybe a first round pick back, I'm definitely exploring that. But out of the 2E, I'm rolling towards Patrick Williams because he can defend, he can shoot, and he fits the timeline. He's 22 years old. He hasn't hit his prime yet. And yes, he's in the final year of his contract, but being a restricted free agent in all season, we have a lot of leverage. So I'm definitely going for Patrick Williams. I really want him in DC.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me when they had the reports that they were interested in going after Grant Williams. So it's really interesting. I think Pat Williams is a solid player. He was drafted right before Denny in that same draft. It's interesting because there's a report from Zach Lowe that I found an article where he wrote up that Pat Williams, he's looking to get paid. He's looking to get paid. This is the article from Zach Lowe on his podcast. He said, "I'm hearing Pat Williams wants big numbers for his next contract. Like starts with a 2 and isn't 20 million." This was Zach Lowe said in his recent episode of the Low Post podcast. Now, since Pat Williams hasn't been playing great basketball, it's kind of not a dysfunctional situation, but a lot of guys are going to get – Zach LaVine's going to get traded. DeMar's going to get traded. Alex Caruso. So, he hasn't played his best basketball. He's not shooting well from the 3 this year, but he's a guy that can defend. He can run the floor. He's a versatile defender, kind of similar to Denny, where Denny can guard, he can guard 2 guards, he can guard 3s, he can guard 4s, sometimes 5s. At times, he can guard some big men at times. And Pat Williams can do that too. And Pat Williams is athletic, put the ball on the floor a little bit, kind of a jack of all trades kind of guy. So I think he's a solid player, but it just depends on the contract. How much is he going to want? I'm not paying him $20 million. I wouldn't do that. We just paid Denny the 4-year, $55 million contract. And I kind of think that's similar to what Pat Williams will get in a deal too. So fit and who are we trading? Who would they want from this team? You said a 3-team trade. I think that would kind of be more likely. On social media, we asked, and some people are throwing Shamet and Johnny in a second-round pick. And I think that is something. Johnny right now, I mean, he's just kind of just giving him a fresh start.
Yeah.
Kind of trade. I don't see anybody. I mean, he just doesn't have any value right now. Shamet, if they can throw in Pat Williams and a second-round pick, we would just swap second-round picks. Maybe that's something that they would do, but I just don't see. And Pat Williams, I don't think there's a lot you would have to give up for him either. But I like his size. I like his versatility. I like how he can defend. He can be a 3-and-D guy too. But the timeline too, you're kind of just stockpiling talent, which I don't mind. I wanted them to go after Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin got traded for 2 second-round picks. Kenyon Martin Jr. got traded for a couple second-round picks. So there was a couple guys that I thought they should have went after in the offseason. So Pat Williams, maybe you take a flyer on him, but the big thing is the contract after. How much are you willing to pay him in the offseason? Caruso, I think that's a guy that they should have went after when they had the solid 3, because we just needed defenders. When they had Bill, Porzingis, and Kuz, I think that's a guy that they should have went after at that time. And there were rumors going around that they wanted him, and I think he would have fit that solid 3, because they just needed one more defender, one more guy that could just defend, take the pressure off of Bill. DeLon Wright did a good job of it, but Caruso and DeLon out there would be really good defenders. Offensively, they would not have been a good fit, but defensively, I think they definitely would have helped Brad out and Kuz and the backcourt for sure. So I think the time for getting Caruso has passed, unless they're going to get him and flip him for picks, but you're not going to get much for him either. So it's an interesting article. I don't see if I had to bet money, I don't see either of them happening, honestly. And it's just like who are you going to give up for Pat, and who are you going to give up for Johnny? I mean, I'm sorry, not Johnny, but who are you going to give up for Caruso? Now, we've done a lot of deals with the Bulls in the past. We did the Gafford, we did the Troy Brown Jr. and Mo Wagner for Gafford and Chandler Hutchinson. So they probably have had some talks. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So it looks like there's definitely a relationship with the Bulls and the Wizards for sure with trades.
I mean, I definitely say go for it. I'm 100% behind it. Like I said, there's questions. Who do you give up? Shamet and Johnny Davis and flipping second rounders. I think that is a realistic move. But I mean, he's 22. He can defend. He can shoot from 3. Defense, 3-point percentage are issues that we've had the last 3 years, man. We need defense. So we need more people who could be utilized on the outside by a point guard, whether that's going to be Jordan Poole, whether that ends up being an Isaiah Collier at the draft, we'll see. But I think other factors to look at why, because here's the thing, man. The rebuilds don't have to take forever. This rebuild doesn't have to take forever. Most rebuilds that are shortened, and look at Indiana. I mean, look at teams like that, is that it's not always about length. It's about, hitting those deals in the market when, I think Patrick Williams is a deal at market value that we need to make. Now, looking at his salary, I think that we have a lot of leverage in that. He can win all he wants. I mean, he can win $20 million all he wants, but the market has a way of kind of humbling people and letting people know what their value is. And Denny kind of saw that. Denny won at one point. There was reports that he won 20, and he didn't get 20. You got to look at the market. And the biggest thing about GMs and finding these jewels in the rough are finding these right deals in the market when it's time to hit. And again, this rebuild doesn't have to take forever. I mean, you got Denny, Bilal, and you throw in a guy like Patrick Williams. You go into this draft, you pick up a center or a point guard, or maybe both. Then you're looking at development, and it's developing your core. And you realistically could look at contention in 3 to 4 years. I mean, so and other factors to look at before we change, man, is that look at a lot of the innovations and a lot of the things that ownership is trying to do in the Capital One Center. I mean, look, ain't nobody gonna pay for the Hennessy suite if we're losing, man. You know, you best believe that this front office is feeling compelled to a certain degree to develop and getting a winning product on the court a lot sooner than later. You know what I'm saying? Because you look at that, you look at the fact that Ted Leonsis has just asked City Council for $600 million for renovations. Look, you got to put a winning club on the floor if you want to be able to get the taxpayers to pay that, man. I mean, so from a business standpoint, I'm looking at ownership is going to want them to get a young team rolling a lot sooner than later, man. And I think Patrick Williams definitely pushes the rebuild along a little bit because, look, he's not a guy who's going to come in, score 15, 20 points. If he does, that is definitely a blessing. You're looking at guys that you can fit around, maybe Jordan Poole, defensive-minded players who can help alleviate his lackluster defense. And the biggest thing with that is that I definitely see Bilal at the 2 long-term, Danny the wing. And then if you can add a Patrick Williams, I'm telling you that it would be a good move. And that is definitely a move because it's kind of like a Gafford move. When we traded, got Gafford from Chicago, who was really talking about Daniel Gafford at that time? And then he came in, he played with Russell Westbrook, became a lob threat, and then he got paid. So I'm just saying, you can really get these diamonds in the roughs in the trade market. And right now, Chicago's trying to sell at a record pace. So I definitely think we need to take advantage of that, man, and grab him on the cheap.
Yeah, I think he would be a good, solid rotational player. I think he would start. You got Bilal who can defend, Denny who's defensive minded. So you add another defensive minded guy. But as far as moving the needle, it's not gonna move the needle much. But you do get a guy that is defensive minded and a young guy with upside. That you take a flyer on. The thing for me is just how much you're gonna pay him when he comes over. How much do you want the negotiation? So that's the interesting thing. But I like him as a player, but I'm not really. I'd rather just let Bilal get minutes. I don't know if he's going to cut into Bilal's minutes, just having another forward there. So that's the interesting part about it. And then Denny's minutes too, but the minutes that I'm concerned about is definitely Bilal. I think Bilal definitely should be getting, 35 minutes from now on, because now you got to play Pat. So the starting 5, Kuz would be on the roster. We'll see if Kuz is on the roster after the trade deadline. But it's a rebuild situation, so you kind of just want to see what guys can do, but you want to see guys develop as well. So, but I like both players, but I don't see either one happening.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Because I said, when there's smoke, there's fire. I think that it would be a really good pickup for this team, man. Because this, again, those factors looking at the business side is that I think this rebuild doesn't have to take forever. You definitely capitalize on these deals in the market, man. And Patrick Williams, I think, is a deal for a young guy who can defend. He checks all boxes for this team. So I think they definitely had to consider that move. So,
yeah. So we're gonna see if that happens, and we're talking about Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole and how their chemistry has been. They've had some of the worst chemistry in the history of the NBA. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers instead of batting thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. With basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Travis Kelce at 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made plus receptions. And want to play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. The Wizards play the Nets tomorrow night, so I'm pretty sure they're going to put Nicholas Claxton's more than or less than rebounds at like 9.5 or 8.5. I would definitely smash that. Probably smash his points too. Gafford is questionable, so we'll see if he plays. If he plays or not, doesn't really matter. Whatever big man goes up against the Wizards, you gotta you got to take the over on their points or the rebounds. You saw the same thing with Joel Embiid, Mark Williams. So that's a PrizePicks pick that I'm going to give you guys out for tomorrow night. Also, make sure you guys check out the Locked On. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, so this has been flying around as well about Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole. They have been the worst 1-2 punch according to SB Nation, combined for a minus 32.1 net rating, 43 turnovers due to bad passes, 31 shot attempts which were blocked as well. So what are your thoughts on the Wizards, or Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole being one of the worst dynamic duos in the NBA? And then also the graphic that is being shown for the Pat Williams trade is Jordan Poole, Pat Williams, and Kyle Kuzma. So that would be another solid 3 right there.
Definitely a solid 3, right?
Oh
man. Am I surprised? No. I think everybody knew that was going to be the case going into the season, because we know where they're at, man. This dynamic duo is not going to win any titles. They're not exactly going to be the duo that's going to lead you to a playoff spot. They're going to be fun to watch, and I think everybody knew that was going to be the MO going into the season, that they were going to be fun to watch because they're high usage, at times low efficient, but high usage, high volume scores. So they were going to be definitely fun to watch. Jordan Poole has had his struggles, turnovers, taking ill-advised shots, making questionable moves, maturity issues. And, Kyle Kuzma, again, he's definitely a guy that you can pencil in for 20 plus a night, easy. But I mean, when he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's off. So I mean, I think everybody kind of knew that, man. I like both guys, man, but neither one of these guys are not yet all-star guys. I think they have all-star potential, definitely. But these guys, neither one of them are really. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is neither one of them are ever on a championship team ever going to be a 1 or 2 option. Let's be real. Like on a championship team, they're either going to be a 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th option. And if you look at Golden State, Jordan Poole was what? Maybe a 3rd scoring option, I guess. I mean, you had Wiggins, so maybe he was 4th. I mean, Draymond wasn't going to be up there. But so, yeah, I'm not surprised. They're fun to watch / very frustrating to watch at times. But, I mean, if you look at a lot of the talent, especially in the Eastern Conference, I'm not surprised. So.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. Jordan Poole has certainly had a struggling start where he's gotten booed off the court. You've seen. I mean, he did have the backboard pass to Kyle Kuzma, so that shows some chemistry right there. That was a Shaq and Fool moment. But you see Jordan Poole get blocked by Porzingis, airball some threes here and there. What was the other Shaq and Fool moment he had where he got blocked? In that Pistons game,
KP.
Yeah, and then he had the other one where he got blocked. Like he did a pump fake and stopped. He was wide open and then got blocked. So he's had a couple of Shaq and Fool moments. But as of recent, Jordan Poole has played a lot better. The last game against the Sixers, he shot the ball a lot better. Did have some turnovers down the stretch, but the efficiency has been better. As of recent, he's been paying attention to the huddle and whatnot. But yeah, the turnovers have been there. Kyle Kuzma, he's been playing that point forward position where he's been playing like a point guard, but a point forward. He's had his fair share of turnovers. 31 shot attempts which were blocked. That's probably most on Jordan Poole. I don't really see Kuz getting blocked that much. And defensively, it says they both allow 122 points per 100 possessions defensively. The whole team's been bad defensively. Kyle Kuzma said they couldn't guard, parked car and a stop sign. Bradley Bill's the one that said park, but Kuz said the stop sign. So it's not just those two. Also, the other stat in the article says a value over replacement player VORP of minus negative 0.3. So it's not just them. The whole team hasn't played well. We've gotten blown out. The West has waved the white flag at times. As of recent, they've been playing some closer games. They played the Bucks close. They played the Sixers close. They've been playing the Hornets close. Every game we play, we've had a lot of big leads too when we lost them. That's the West Junior special. So just to say those two have been bad is not really telling the full story, in my opinion. They don't have, Gafford's only big. We don't have any backup bigs. Couldn't stop Joel Embiid. He put up 45, 50 pretty easily. So Yeah, I think honestly, now the numbers don't lie. The numbers are true, but I do
Yeah,
think a lot of the media, they do have it out for Jordan Poole. Like every time
yeah,
he has a bad game, they're trying to show any bad clip of him or any negative media post they can show. So it's not just those two guys. Yes, they're not playing well. That's. I mean, there's at times where they're not playing well, but I to single those two out is not the full story. It's just not. So, but
yeah.
I get it. They have not played their best. And Kuz has had some good moments. He's had some good moments. Poole's had some good moments. So, but yeah, I'm not surprised. But then again, like I said, it doesn't really tell the full story.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you, E. I definitely agree. I think the biggest reason to me is why they're the worst because they're just not a true 1-2 punch. You know what I mean? They're just guys that they're just the 1-2 punch. Doesn't mean you know what I mean? Like, they're just not a true 1-2 punch as far as a first and second option on a team that has aspirations to be a playoff team. You know, I like both of them, and I think that both of them definitely could be role players on a contending team, but as the first and second best players, that there's just too much of a talent gap between other duos, and that's just what it is. But is it their fault? Absolutely not, man. I think that coaching has a lot to do with it, and I hate to harp on West, man, but I mean, you could like somebody personally, man, doesn't mean they need to have the job. I mean, I like West, man, but is he the coach long term? I don't believe so. I think coaching has a lot to do with it. I think that the phrase "too many Chiefs, not enough Indians." You got too many people who are trying to be the guy, or you got a point forward here, you got a point guard here, you got a guy. They need to establish who's who and really give everybody a role. That's another thing that you continue to see in the locker room here in DC, especially under Wes Unseld Jr., is that there's no defined roles. It's just, hey, you're point guard today, or you're bringing the ball up today, or it's and that's why I think they have a lot of issues, especially on the defensive end, because there's no communication. Because who's that guy who's really getting everybody straightened up? You know what I mean? So I think that's another big issue. I don't think it's just on Kyle Kuzma or Jordan Poole. I think a lot of that has to do with administrative, man. Head coaching. The fact that there's no assigned roles is just, it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm with you. I like both of them, man, but let's be real. No team is going to go to the playoffs or have championship aspirations with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma as their first and second options. So,
yeah, they're both solid players, but the 1-2 punch and Jordan Poole, he's playing next to Tyus. That I want to see their chemistry, their numbers too, because they're giving up a lot of points. They just are. They give a lot of points. Every point guard they play puts up a lot big numbers as well. So I know that you could do it. You can do this. You can pair the chemistry with all the starting five, and they're probably in the negatives for sure, because we're waving the white flag and getting blown out. So I kind of feel like the article was a little bit of an agenda. Yes, I get it. The numbers are true, but I just feel like they were definitely looking for something for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, man. Before we roll into the ad, man, the media. That's the thing about the media, man. They like to see the fall, and they've really been on Jordan Poole. Early on in his tenure in DC, asking about Draymond and getting on about this and that. Yeah, he's got maturing to do, man, but he's also a young guy he's still very, very young, coming to a situation where he's got more responsibility. He's still learning on the fly. I get being tough on Jordan Poole, and I get it, man. A lot of his antics do get on your nerves, but then you kind of look at it from another lens, right? He's a young guy who is now be given a lot of responsibility with a franchise who is in transition. So, the media need to get a grip. I mean, leave the man alone. Let him play basketball. So that's kind of where I'm at, man. Let the young man play. So, we'll go ahead and move on. Before we move on to the Nets preview for tomorrow night at 7:30 in Brooklyn, tonight's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities of real life, right? But can we just talk for a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. This is scary, y'all. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if my family or one of my kids got sick while the supply chain issue kept them from life-saving medication they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jase Medical. The Jase case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, skin infections, among others. This stuff can happen to any of us. I'm trying to tell you. All you guys got to do is visit jasemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never more important to be prepared than today. So definitely, all you got to do is go to jasemedical.com and use offer Locked On to get $20 off your purchase. And I definitely recommend you guys check out Jase Medical, man, because this medication is better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So let's slide into the preview for tomorrow night's game versus the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes, sir. Just looking at the Nets, looking at their past couple of games. Mikal Bridges had a pretty big game their last game. Cam Thomas came back from injury. He had only 6 points last night, but you know what he does to the Wizards in the past. He had that 30-point game or 40-point game. Last year we were up by 15, 20 points, and they came back. Just looking at some of their numbers, they are number 1 in total rebounds. They're number 3 in defensive rebounds. They're number 7 in offensive rebounds. So they rebound the ball really, really well. Nick Claxton is a good rebounder. Cam Johnson is a good rebounder. Mikal Bridges is a good rebounder. They have some guys that get after it as well. They're sixth. They're second in 3-point percentage, so they get up a lot of threes. Mikal Bridges can shoot the 3. Cam Johnson can shoot the 3.
Yeah.
Cam Thomas can shoot the 3. Of course, you know, we got the rivalry with Kyle Kuzma and Spencer Dinwiddie, so you got to look at that again. We just played the Nets. We played them close, lost. It was close in that really the last 2 minutes of the game, and they let the Nets get away with it. They're 6th in field goal attempts per game, so they really get up and down. Let me see what they are with pace. They're 21st in pace, which is odd, but they're a very efficient team. They get a lot of threes up. They're 6th in 3-point attempts, so they get a lot of threes up. But what are your keys to development that you're looking for against the Brooklyn Nets?
Oh, I bet their pace is slow, man. It takes like 20 seconds for Spencer Dinwiddie to
set
up his offense, man. Some things to look at. Like you said, they are number 1 in the NBA in rebounding. So I'm looking at Gaff, man. Obviously, from his point standpoint, Gaff has looked decent lately. You know, last game, I believe it was 18 points. I definitely want to see him a lot more active in rebounding. Not the only one. Denny has definitely showed that he can rebound at a high level. What his matchup is going to be really that's the question, whether they match him up on Mikal Bridges, which is another 3-and-D guy. But I definitely want to see him more involved with rebounding because he's just been rebounding at a higher rate. I think this is another game where the bench needs to eat. I'm looking at Bilal Coulibaly doing his thing, but also Corey Kispert coming in and being the sniper that he is, man. And another guy, as far as I'm looking at one of these, you know, veteran expiring deals, I'm looking for Shamet to kind of come out and play well. I believe he's a former Brooklyn Net. I know he's played for a lot of squads, but I believe he's a former Net, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, those are the guys I'm kind of looking at. The same guys I'm looking at most games. You know, as far as the bench, Bilal coming in and doing his thing. I definitely want to see him eat against the Brooklyn Nets. You know, Corey Kispert, you know, definitely. But, I mean, looking at Denny before we roll on, man, I kind of want to see what he did the last game. You know, the shots not dropping, find other ways to contribute. You know, definitely rebounding at a high level. You know, definitely with his vision, man, try to get other people rolling, man. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking at, E. I think that it's a winnable game, but I think that we know what our deficiencies are, which is rebounding and defense. So I want to see a lot more high-energy defense from them. I'm not expecting Tyus or Jordan Poole to be locked down at any measure, but I definitely want to see them more involved in getting into passing lanes, you know, and definitely communicate and get these rotations better and definitely close out a lot of these shooters because this team's going to shoot. So you definitely have to get out there and get your hand in some of your faces a lot faster.
100%. They got Dorian Finney-Smith. He gives up a lot of threes. Royce O'Neal gets up a lot of threes. Dennis Smith Jr., he's a quick guard off the bench. Cam Thomas, he's going to get up a lot of threes.
Yeah.
Same thing with Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. So, yeah, like you said, rotating, getting out the shooters, knowing your personnel. Rebounding, of course, is going to be huge. We get out rebounded every game. Day'Ron Sharp had 10 boards off the bench. Claxton had 10 boards off the bench. So it's going to be a huge game for Gafford. If he plays, he is questionable. So, you know, he did miss some time in the Sixers game, but he came back in. So if I had to guess, I think he would play. But yeah, once again, Bilal, you know, Mikal Bridges, that's going to be a good matchup. I've seen some people compare him to Mikal Bridges because, you know, Mikal Bridges has that lean build to him. You know, he can shoot the three, he can put the ball on the floor. You know, Bilal's been shooting the three ball pretty well. And Mikal coming in the league, you know, he came a long way. You know, he had to work on his offensive game, worked his way up, got traded from the Suns, got away from Devin. You know, I'm not saying getting away from Devin Booker like it was a bad thing, but, you know, he wasn't, you know, the third, fourth option. You know, he was like the third option on the Suns. He goes to the Nets. He's the first option, one of the most improved players in the league. So maybe you can see that trajectory for Bilal 2 or 3 years from now. Hopefully he stays on the Wizards and not traded like Mikal was. But, you know, so that's a good matchup for him. Same thing with Cam Johnson. They got a lot of guys who are, you know, 6'8", 6'9", they can shoot the three, like Finney Smith off the bench too. But rebounding, defending the three-point line. I think we should try to push the pace with them, make them run. Dinwiddie doesn't want to run. He can barely move. So if Tyus can push the pace on him, get that floater going. Same thing with Jared Butler off the bench if he plays. Try to make Dinwiddie move, attack him defensively. Get some matchups with Kuz on Dinwiddie since they don't like each other. Get some post-ups with Kuz on Dinwiddie. Some one-on-one matchups for him. And just that pick and roll. The pick and roll was working really well. But defensively, we got to get back on defense. Got to defend the paint. Got to rebound. Those are just the things that every game. But I want to see Bilal, how he develops. Corey Kispert shot the ball pretty well last game. Want to see if he can keep it up. And just the ball moving. I thought we moved the ball pretty well, but we just got to lock it defensively. I think it's a winnable game. I really do. The Nets are 11-9. They just beat the Hawks by 1 point, but I really think this is a winnable game. Let me see where this game is at.
It's New York.
It is, it's in New York, 7:30 start time. So it's going to be another close game. I think it's a game they can win. I don't see them winning it, but the keys for development for me, of course, is seeing Bilal just blossom, you know, getting some steals, some pickpocket plays, deflections, finish around the rim, knocking down some threes. So that's what I want to continue to see from Bilal.
Man, you brought up a good point, man. Pick and popping, man. The second unit, man, I want to see a lot more pick and popping and pick and rolling, man. You know, especially with Shamet and Corey Kispert. Yeah, you got to get these guys rolling because their shots, man. You know, when their shots are on, and, you know, lately with Shamet, man, his shot has been rocking. He's been hitting a lot of tough shots. And same thing with Kispert. He's been looking good from the perimeter, man. So, you know, that second unit, I want to see them, you know, I kind of figured that Gallo was going to be a kind of their small ball five. So, you know, he can barely move. So you know, pick and roll, man, pick and pop. You know, definitely utilize them for picks. So that's where I'm at, man. I think I'm with you. Are they going to win? Probably not. But I think it's definitely a type of a culture game. You know, another team where they can kind of play them hard and see where they're at, man. But yeah, you brought up the comparison of Mikal Bridges and with Bilal. And that's another good one, man. I always say OG Anunoby, but Mikal Bridges is another compelling one too, because like you said, and the same thing with OG Anunoby, when they came into the league, they were not very polished offensively. You know, Mikal Bridges, it took a while for him coming out of Villanova to be that guy offensively, but now he's a number one option on the offense in Brooklyn. You know, you can argue maybe it's between him and Cam Thomas, but so that was a good comparison. But yeah, I think this is definitely a game, a culture game. You'll see them play them tough. It's more about development than it is wins and losses. But yeah, I definitely want to see Bilal do his thing because he is really, really coming along pretty fast offensively. And it surprises you, man, because we were talking at the draft, man, about how, you know, this will be like a 3-year thing with him kind of finding himself offensively, where we're a quarter way into the season, and he's already like showing progress offensively. So Bilal is definitely the spotlight in this game for me too.
Yeah, I've seen comparisons like, you know, Trevor Ariza.
Yeah.
At times, Andre Roberson. You know, Andre Roberson couldn't shoot at all, but he was a great defender. But Bilal's showing that he's a better shooter, way better shooter than Andre Roberson. Yeah, because I saw some numbers where Bilal's first 8 games, he averaged 6 points a game, 3 boards, 1 assist, and a half a steal. The last 11 games, he's averaged 10 points, 4 boards, and 2 assists, and 1.6 steals. So all his numbers are going up. His minutes are going up. His minutes have gone up from 23 minutes in the first 8 games to 28 minutes in the last 11 games. I keep saying that I really want to see him get more than 30 minutes for sure. Really want to see his minutes go up to 35 before the season's over.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I definitely think he needs more minutes. Looking at the deadline, you know, does he slide into this shooting guard spot after the deadline? I think they need to think about it because, you know, like I said, before the season, we looked at certain ways to construct rosters, and they say the best way to kind of help protect a score first point guard is having a 2 guard who can defend. I think that if Jordan Poole is going to be that guy after the deadline, because I think Tyus Jones will be moved, and they slide Jordan Poole into the starting point guard, slide Bilal to 2. and go from there. I think that would be a really good move, man, because his offensive game is really compelling. It really is, because he's driving the lane. He's driving the lane with power. He's dunking on people. He's not hesitant to shoot the three. So I think they got to strongly consider putting Bilal at the 2 guard after the deadline.
Oh yeah, for sure. But all right, we're gonna see you guys, if not tomorrow night, then Sunday night, recapping the game. Just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you guys get podcasts. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit that notification bell. Hell to the Wizards. Peace.